everybody, François Letarte, JDRD30, and this is question 10 of RPG A Day 2016, my biggest in-game surprise. Yeah, well, I don't have much memory of surprises. Obviously, I had lots of them, but the only one I can recall that is, I think, very interesting in my opinion, is one that is quite recent, during the last year, in fact. It was with my group of kids I'm running at the library for a project I have, which is quite detailed on my channel if you want to check out throughout my videos. Yeah, I talk a little bit about it. Just to put you in context, yeah, well, this is an experiment I'm making for the library in order to put up a regular activity of role-playing games open to the public. And during the school year, I had a group of kids that I was inviting during school breaks to try out, to experiment some stuff. And I did with them. We created the world based on stuff they told me. I put a map, and they were putting all sorts of crazy stuff with that, and I was trying to make out something out of it. And it was quite a good experiment. And it was a sandboxy campaign. I didn't have any real plans. I was just letting it go and see where it was going with the kids, trying to watch their reaction. Throughout this experiment, I was asking them stuff they would like to see in this world. And one of the youngest, in fact, of the group, a young girl of 8-year-old, told me a story about herself. So something that happened to her. She was playing in a wood nearby her house, and someone was passing by, and for some reasons she was afraid of that person. It was kind of a large man with a brown fur coat, and she was hiding herself from him, and nothing happened, but she was probably impressed to the point to be a little afraid of that person, and she decided to tell me about this little tale of her life. So I decided that at some point I would use a similar monster, to see her reaction, to see how she would react throughout an adventure in the fantasy world. So it was very sandboxy. I didn't have any real plans for that adventure. It was going the way it was. And at some point, yeah, they were in the wood, and then they decided to introduce a monster, created on the fly, which was some kind of a giant. It was just a humanoid shape, but his skin was kind of as if you were looking in the sky during the night. You were seeing stars, and it was all black. You may see nebulas and stuff like that. And it was kind of moving, and he was wearing a big brown fur coat. At first, I've introduced this character without having any real plans for it. Maybe they could fight him and and defeat him, and it would be over, and they would go on with something else. But yeah, I had quite fun of playing that monster, trying to create some special abilities he had because of his special nature. And yeah, the girl herself, the girl, she was called, I think her character was called Kaina. Okay, let's talk about Kaina. Okay, I was expecting that she would attack it, trying to fight the thing that she had been afraid in her real life. And yeah, and go on with the fight. Everyone was fighting the monster, but no, she decided otherwise. She decided to try to talk to the monster, and trying to get close to him, and trying to touch him. She wanted to touch that night sky that was his body. Okay, she was trying to communicate with him, and not verbally. She was trying to communicate. Trying to link her mind through for the monster. And I felt that it was a little strange for a young girl to ask stuff like that. But yeah, that was the beginning of the surprise, because finally she decided to not befriend the monster, but she was trying to merge with him. That's how I have interpreted it. She was trying to merge with him, to try to get some of his powers. She was really trying to do that. Kena wanted to merge with the monster, and I was quite surprised for a young girl like that. It was very intense, in fact. All the other players were struggling trying to fight that monster. And at some point, I decided to use that, you know, during that fight, using the connection Kena wanted to make and trying to make it real at some point. And the monster responded in her head, you know, and yeah, and at some point he decided to let the players out and decided that he would come back for Kena at some point. I thought at that moment that maybe she would be afraid for it to come back, but no, she was really trying to get in touch with that monster. So to please that player, that young player, I had to introduce him back. But now that's taken another twist, and that is the magic of improvisation and sandboxing, is that I wasn't really expecting that monster to be something that important. And you know, by the end of this adventure, the monster was the key, you know, the one of the key element to succeed. It was the monster. I decided that it was some sort of a cosmic being, which is tied to a cosmic plane, and all the kids were digging that. You know, they were really into that. They had to fight their big enemy on that plane. And yeah, and Kena, you know, slowly became more merged with that monster to a point where she was beginning to become a monster like that. You know, and by the end, I let her make some moves, being a cosmic, you know, not a giant, but she was a cosmic being herself by the end of this adventure, and she was really enjoying it. It was quite surprising. It's surprising to see, yeah, how imaginative it was for her to. Well, imaginative. Well, I can't talk about courage, but it was unexpected that she would try to do a move like that. You know, usually kids want to take their sword and hit the stuff, but she just got the other way around, and it really shaped that adventure, and it eventually shaped many of the stuff that is happening in this campaign. Right now, I'm in the summer. I offer role-playing based on the world I've created with those kids, and Kena's ID has a strong influence on what's going on in that world. Yeah. So, a 8-year-old young girl really brought a big level of deepness into her gaming world, and that is a big surprise. Yeah, a surprising twist and a very satisfying one. So I hope this was enjoyable, and yeah, keep watching those videos from me. From any others, RPG a day, watch that, and I hope you have as much fun in your life as in your game. Goodbye.